Welcome, everyone. Happy to be here with you this afternoon, talk about the Footprint Service Core solution that we're going to go through. And, you know, one of the interesting things that has always been touted about it, and having now been exposed to it for, I guess, about 6 months since the acquisition took place, is it truly is a very easy to install, implement, configure, and maintain service desk solution component out there, especially compared to some of the other products that I've seen over the years. So, you know, one of the things they talk about is the ease of administration with how quickly you can bring it up, how quickly you can configure it, how it's fully functional. Everything can be done within the module itself as opposed to having to have a lot of bolt-on products for like a service catalog or another bolt-on to do remote control and those types of things. They've really designed this thing from soup to nuts, and quite honestly, that's one of the major reasons BMC went out and bought them, is they had everything that BMC was trying to get into their existing applications. One of the things you'll see that it's a highly desired feature within here is this ability for any groups within the organization to be able to leverage the service core system to have their own ticketing system with their own forms, their own workflows, their own categorizations. It's meant to be done that way right out of the box, and it makes it very, very easy to do that. So, you know, as a result of those things, you're going to get this up and running pretty darn fast. It's very easy to administer, much more so than some of the other tools I know a lot of you folks are using out there. So the time to value, the time to operational is very, very quick. As Dick mentioned, there are really two components within Footprints, one being the service core, which is where we're going to spend our time today, and they are the typical things around incident management, problem management, change management, the asset and service catalog management, and again, license similar to what SDE had out there, and Remedy out there, having both the option now of concurrent agents, but also being able to have named agents. Very attractive pricing scheme for it. Again, not to focus on today's seminar, but one we'll probably follow on with in a few weeks, is the completely integrated, let me stress that, completely integrated asset core that can run with Footprints and quite honestly can run with some of the other BMC tools as well. It does such a good job. They've worked to make sure that regardless of which BMC service desk solution you might pick up in this mid-market space, that you could leverage that asset core, and you can see the list there of the types of life cycle desktop server management things that it does around patch and software deployment and so forth. Again, topic for another seminar. The service core is, certified by, the ITIL processes, the 10 primary processes that I know you folks are working with. So it's certified to be compliant with the way it does that, but it doesn't mean that it's hard-coded and you can't have your own little escalations and notifications and things that might make your business unique that is out there and available for you. Again, one of the biggest functional differences between this and a lot of the systems out there is, as depicted on this particular screen, you can have lots of different what are referred to as workspaces. So HR could have its own way of doing things, its own forms, its own rules, workflows, as I mentioned earlier, as could over on the bottom left, facilities might have their own sets of things, and obviously IT and, then change request. And in the middle, though, offering to your end users, you could have a single portal interface for that actionable service catalog where end users come, and they don't need to be worried about where does the ticket ultimately end up. Is it in facilities? Is it HR? They just want to go in, put in their request. The technology will take care of the automatic routing. But as importantly, while the data can be segregated and customized to each one of those groups, there is also the ability to share the data amongst the different groups when it makes sense as an organization. Typical one that most folks can identify with there is the HR may be the starting point for new hire requests, but ultimately Approvals are going to have to come into play, which is what change does. IT is going to have certain things to do to make that new employee ready to be productive. Facilities may have to be involved in order to provision a cube or whatever. You may have yet another workspace for your securities group that grants badges and access requests and those types of things. So where it makes sense to share the data amongst the group, you can certainly do that. So if you look at this is kind of the functionality that you would get when you went with the Service Core module. Basically, what you're seeing in blue there is kind of what's included. So incident and problem management, the ability to do self-service through the front end there. It's all web-based, both from the user and staff consistent, as well as any of the administration you do is all web-based. It's obviously very intensive workflows and notifications in there. It contains its own drag and drop reporting engine, as well as real-time dashboards for both staff as well as the executive IT group. It is very, very highly integrated with Active Directory or whatever LDAP that you may employ there. But with Active Directory, it's actually a real-time integration with AD. It contains calendar and scheduling for staff, as well as Outlook integration. If you want to make sure that you can see things that occur within the FootPrints environment show up in your Outlook calendar, that's available for you out of the box. It comes with knowledge management as part of it. Very easy to do the telephony integration if you want to do screen pops based on telephone numbers, full service level management, and extensive two-way email communications, much like I know there's a large number of Service Desk Express customers out there. The email conversation management type of functionality is also included in what you would get with Service Core. And for those SDE customers joining us today that may be considering the migration options that BMC has made available to the Service Desk Express customers, this area here on the CMDB, Service Asset Configuration Management, as well as the Actionable Service Catalog, they also come at no additional cost when you migrate off of SDE over to there. The other things are obviously more around the component that we talked about for Asset Core, which is later. The one other one that I will point out that's not part of the core but is an easy add-on is if you want your staff members to be able to open, close, update tickets from their mobile device, that is certainly available there as well. So I'm going to move on over into the demo. We're going to talk a lot about this service catalog as a way to get your users productive very, very quickly. So let me get off of the PowerPoint part here and kind of go over. And I've got two different views I want to show you here as we go through here, both the staff view as well as what the end user view would look like. So I'm going to actually start off as though I am an end user. I don't have any kind of license to run FootPrints. I'm just one of the people that you support, and I'm going to log in to the system from my browser. It's just a link off of my browser. And the first thing you'll notice is a little pop-up comes up that says, hey, thanks for joining, Tom. Here are some global issues going on that we want you to be aware of. You know, we've got three kind of major things going on. And if, by the way, you were logging in to say that you've got one of these problems, you don't have to do anything separate. You don't have to put in a bunch of tickets and a bunch of descriptions. Just say that you'd like to subscribe to this Outlook issue. We'll automatically create the underlying ticket for you. And, oh, by the way, when we close out this global incident, it's referred to as, that will automatically update, close, and notify all of those children incident tickets who had subscribed to that. For you SDE users out there, that's akin to the whiteboard functionality within Service Desk Express. So as an end user here, obviously, generally when you're coming into the portal, issuing a new ticket, you certainly want to be able to see what is the current status of your open ticket. So we provide that here in a view, and of course give that end user the ability to sort that in a number of different ways. And then depending on how we've configured the system, you know, they can open up a new request. They can, go into the service catalog. They can go into the knowledge base, a number of different ways. So let's just kind of look and see if, if Tom here wanted to issue a new request, he could just click on that button, and he could just, indicate, what's the nature of your request. And I'm going to say, well, I've got an internet-related issue. Here's my information about me, of course. And, do I want to put in any notes or details here as far as what's going on? Do I want to add any number of attachments? But more importantly, we're going to ask Tom to kind of categorize what's going on. Are you putting in a request, or you want to report a break fix? You got an incident thing. I'll say, well, I've got a failure here. And so then we can dynamically pop another logical question. Well, is it a hardware-related issue, a network, a software? What do you feel like it is? So we say, well, it's a network-related issue, which then intelligently pops what would be the logical next choice of a question. And is it you can't connect to our internal network, or is it can't connect to the Internet itself? And I just say, well, I can't get to my network. And then we can actually do things like suggest to Tom in this case, hey, a lot of times we get issues, and it's because, the plug's out of the wall or not in the right socket here on the panel. Why don't you just double-check that real quick before you actually create the incident, and are you plugged into the right spot? And if he says yes, well, then obviously you do have an issue there. So Tom can just very easily save that off, and, the incident automatically gets created with all of the answers that he made to all of the appropriate questions. It's going to be incident number 120, and that then gets routed over to IT service management for them to, put in the request. So that's one way to do it. The other part that we talked about, of course, that's kind of new to USDE users and the Trackit users who might be out there, is this concept of an actionable service catalog, a one-stop shopping portal where you can do any number of things as an end user. You may want to come in and request information from HR about the new medical plan that's going to come out in January, or you may need to file a new beneficiary form because you had a child or something of that nature. Or, again, if you elect to configure yours this way, you may want to set up a routine where people can put in facilities-related issues, the lights out, the lock on the doors not working, certainly the all familiar IT-related services, or even going over into project management type services. So let's just kind of take a peek here at some of the IT services that would be configured out there. Are you looking for things about your account services, desktop services, business applications you're asking for? Is it something about your mobile device? And again, you can kind of set these filters to do whatever type of intelligent grouping you feel is out there. So in this case, let's say that, well, I'm going to request that I need another application installed on my system. So here, again, just a sample for this demo. Here, I need Adobe Reader, or I need Adobe Professional, or I need this other application that's out there. So I'm going to say, well, I'm going to be put on a project, and I'm going to now need Adobe Professional, which is not free to download off of the web, as we know. So the goal to service catalog management is always to communicate with the user and set expectations. So this is what you're ordering, correct? And you're reminding them that, hey, if you just need to read the files, you don't really need to have this. So again, set expectations. Let them know that if there is a cost, what the cost would be. And in this case, since this is a licensed product, there's going to be a $250 internal charge. And oh, by the way, because there is a charge for this, your manager is going to have to approve this. So just be aware of that. And then the other big goal within service catalog management is to always set an expectation of what is the turnaround time. A lot of times when our end users call us on the help desk, it's because they want an update because they had an unreasonable expectation of how quickly could resolve an issue like that. So if the request is really an 8-hour thing, let's set that expectation right up front. And one little disclaimer I'll give you here, you can see on this one that we're saying we're going to resolve it in 5 minutes, which is obviously a pretty quick turnaround once that manager approves. So in full disclosure, this particular one was set up on the assumption that we do have the Asset Core installed as well. And because since one of the things Asset Core can do is push out software, if you have that and it's fully integrated to the Service Core side, once that approval comes in, it would automatically push out of our product catalog a copy of this software down there.